My concern with the educational system in America is that it's not even about education, it's about training. And there's a difference from being schooled and being educated. When you go to the same room every day, regimentedly speaking to the same teacher with the same students, you're not really having an experience that's conducive for being instructed to learn or to be educated, but rather to be trained.
I just remember growing up, like the dinner table was like a source of revolution in my household. You know, you had Grandmama frying chicken, but she wasn't just cooking, she was actually dispensing wisdom. My grandmother had an 8th grade education, and most of her offspring and her grandkids have an education because she was the help. And she told us that she didn't want us to be the help. So she gave us some fundamental principles for living.
We live here in America, as far as Africans here in America, we live under what I call battered housewife syndrome. We've been beaten and abused so much that we still think America loves us. We've even been taking on the last name, African American. They have no respect for us. Their whole duty in this life is to destroy us.
I was raised in Memphis. I remember going with my grandmama at age 4 and 5 to get my mama, her sister, and her brother out of jails 3 or 4 times before I was 6 because they went to use a library on Mendenhall, and it was for white people only. And so one of my earliest memories was like, dang, my mama getting arrested to go get a book to read, so it kind of stayed with me. But I was homeschooled, even though I attended school, because they didn't expect the school system to train or to teach black men at that time. And this was like the 60s, mid-60s. So I think we have to go back to the understanding that, you know, we have to teach ourselves and empower ourselves and basically do all the dirty work at home. Because if we leave it up to the schools, we won't know how to read.
Middle-class parents tend to have children who are poor. That is statistically proven. The black middle class, 80% of their children will be in poverty. Why is that? Because we teach them things that will not uplift them. Whatever it was that took somebody from out of poverty and allowed them to get into that middle class tax bracket, we don't teach that same hustler's mindset, that same grind, that same ambition. Instead we say, I want you to get a job.
One of the most important things that changed my life was October 1995. If anybody remember that date, it was the date of the Million Man March. And I remember going to Washington, D.C., and I remember being on the mall with 1 million black brothers and seeing signs that said, we're going to work it out, and it's our time, and all that other good stuff. And I took my son and a couple of his friends there. But I remember that bus ride home, a quiet ride down the turnpike. And it changed my life forever. And since then, I've been able to start a few $1 million businesses. But more importantly, I think, and what they talk about in the film, is that we have to get back to owning our community. We don't own our community for it.